Right, hi everyone, welcome back to Exehaven Harbour. Now, as you'll see here, the bridge section is out for the girder bridge. We've got the curve gluing with the cork, and it come apparent to me yesterday afternoon while I was mulling things over with a cup of tea, pondering, I think is a great word, isn't it, Ian? Hi Ian, how you doing, mate? It come apparent to me that really I need to get the bridge abutments, whatever you want to call them, in place. So I'm currently doing this. I'm marking out some plastic card sheet, and I've got some English bond brick. You can't see that at all, I wouldn't imagine, but I'm just going to make that up. I'm going to make them up and put that in place, so that I can actually start fixing the blocks down. But I thought before I could get the blocks fixed, I needed just to have that in place, even if it's just a temporary thing. But I'll make these so that they'll just fit onto the bridge. And I've done a little bit of research last night on these truss girder bridges, and there are a few going over roads in the southern region. So it's not kind of out of place. So we're going to go with that, and I'll come back to you when I've got it done. Well, another dreary Tuesday. Golf cancelled due to the bad weather. Golf course is shut that we was going to play at today. So we've got another bonus Tuesday in the cabin. What have I been up to? Well, not too much actually on the layout, because once I'd decided that I was going to put this red girder bridge in, a whole host of things come up in terms of what I've got to do to progress further. So I needed to make the bridge abutments. As you can see here, I've made them out of brick. I think it was scale cast English bond brick sheets, and as you can see, I've just fitted them in here just to show you what I've done. When it goes into the layout, it will hopefully all fit nicely, and this will all be glued up, and it will work hopefully as I envisage. But yeah, this was there was a technique that I've used for painting these from I used it from World of Railways, a video that I watched a good couple of months ago now, and it was using Slater's plastic card to do a 00 gauge bus stop, and they used Humbrol paints to do the painting. Now what basically I done was the courses between the bricks, if you like, the cement layers. I used a Humbrol paint. I think it was 121. I can't remember what the colour was now, but it's like a cementy colour really. And you just paint the whole lot in that and leave it for 24 hours. You come back, and then there was two different colours of brick colour. And if anybody wants to know them, I'll let you know, or I might even put them in the description if I remember to do it. But basically I bought myself some dry brushes, and the brick colours are dry brushed on. So there's two different, like I say, two different colours of red for the brick, or brown, or whatever it is. And basically you dip them in both, and obviously use a paper towel to sort of get most of the paint off, and then you just paint them over. And you just dip in, you don't clean the brush or anything, you just dip in from one pot to the other, clean it off on the towel, and then just dry brush it on. And I'll tell you what, it is quite a good effect. And once I get some weathering powders and stuff on there, that should work really well. So I'm really pleased with that, and I'm really pleased. I mean, I know it looks a bit rickety at the moment, but that's just because of the way it's set up. So also what I've found, you'll see in a while when I go back and show you, but this piece here leads up to the big arch bridge at the back of the estuary, and I've used, again, scale cast brick sheet, but this is dressed stone. And this was the, I don't know whether you remember, but it was like, I'll turn it round, polystyrene. And I used that with those those wooden blocks to get the height exactly for the bridge. What I needed was some sort of cover down the sides of it. So I've used this dressed stone, obviously either side. One side you'll never see in most likelihoods. And I've used the same technique again. It was the sort of cement colour painted all over, left for 24 hours. And then there was two different colours of grey, or two different shades of grey. And the same method, dry brushing, but just dipping in and out of the two different pots of paint, not cleaning the brush, but just wiping it off on the towel. And it's given us, or given me, that it is really quite a nice effect actually. The only thing with it slightly, and these were matte paints, there is a slight glossy sheen, but I think that's going to come down once we get some weathering powders on that. And maybe even if I use my matte lacquer on it from Halfords, that might bring it down a tad. But to be honest, it doesn't look bad at all, and I love the shading of the bricks. The mortar lines as such you can't really see now, but what the cement coloured paint did is give it an extra sort of dimension in the colouring, and it has come out really well. The thing is in Engage, and I don't know how much you'll see of this. Oh, it's not too bad, I suppose. But yeah, in Engage, obviously the brickwork is very, very fine, but it's there, and it gives a subtle effect. So I'm quite pleased with that. And at the same time, the arch bridge was sitting on a couple of blocks of wood, and I've built a couple of plinths. So there's over there. Again, the colours that I used were these were the cement colours that I've used for the mortar lines, and again just the two colours of grey on top of the cement colour. And I've built the two plinths out of I think it's 1mm, maybe 1.5, maybe 2mm plastic card, and I've just made two sort of boxes. I wanted it fairly plain, only because it sits right at the back of the layout and you won't see that much of them anyway. There are a couple of bits in production at the moment that will fit either side of the bottoms of the bridges here, just to make it look like they're engineered in really well. And actually I think it sort of kind of gives the impression that it's kind of been embedded into the plinth anyway. But yeah, if I put the couple of little bits that I've made up, it'll look like it's sort of been engineered in. Hopefully my engineering friends that watch the channel will be okay with that on this bridge. But at the end of the day, like I say, you won't really be able to see too much of it in detail, but they've all come out quite well, so I'm quite pleased with that. So join me in the next bit when I fit the arch bridge back in. We put the length of polystyrene and wood blocks that I've covered up in, and we'll fit the arch girder bridge in, and we'll see how we stand from there. So that's how the girder bridge fits in. Obviously I've just temporarily fitted that in there, so no comments about it looks a bit wonky, John, blah blah blah. It will be okay once I've finagled it all in. Once everything's stuck down, we can really sort of make some progress on that. So quite pleased actually with the way that initially looks. So that would fit right in there nicely, and you know, as time goes on and we get some scenery sort of added to it, there'll be lots of different additions as well. So this track isn't here in the scheme of things. It's just along with all the other junk at the moment. So yeah, so the girder bridge, that's it in place, and we'll move on to the other bits. Right, so this is the section that leads up to the bridge, and the tunnel entrance will be there. I'm actually going to paint the tunnel entrance in the same way as that, so so it should all look pretty well matched. So that looks quite good. I haven't put an end on it here yet. because I don't know quite how I'm going to do that bit, I've got to make up a couple of little joiners either side of the arch bridge. I'll move that over at the back there. I've just got to join them up, and as I say, you can't really see the two plinths that the arch bridge sits on. I don't know what the best way to view that's going to be. Sorry, I've got it on the tripod, a bit wobbly, but yeah, there you can see just about the plinths that sits on. I'm not sure that I can get a shot from right down below. Not at this stage, not the way that I've got the tripod set anyway. But yeah, so that sits on there, and it matches up really nicely. Right, so there's the polystyrene piece that sits on the piece of, obviously on the polystyrene that leads up to the arch bridge, and you'll see, I don't know whether I can do that a little bit further. Obviously that sits by the tunnel mouth, and the tunnel mouth will be painted in the same colours, so that all matches up. And I might use that as a kind of theme for Exehaven, that sort of colouring for the tunnel mouths. I've got to make up a couple of little bits for joining up to the arch bridge. I'm probably going to put some of these plate girders in, like those, paint them up in the same colours, weather them down a bit, just to create an impression of those two joining bits. Don't know yet, it's not in stone, but we'll see. You can just about see underneath there one of the plinths, this one here. You won't really be able to see much of that unless we have some really down low shots of the trains as they run over the bridge, but obviously in the future we will. And there again, you can just see that behind here. So obviously standing up you can see them, and I think that's worked quite well. I'm quite happy with that. That's a good few days work. Obviously you have to wait for the paint to dry for some time, and hopefully this morning I can now start, now I've got a kind of picture of how these things kind of fit in. I shall start getting everything else stuck down. I think I'm at that point. So, while I'm thinking of things, as you can see, as I went quiet, I'm going to see you in the next part. Well, hi everyone, and welcome back. I've had a right good go today on this bonus Not Playing Golf Tuesday. Well, anyway, everything is, well, I say everything, some of it is gluing down, everything is screwed down on one of these, right, on this last raise level really. The only thing that I've got left really to do in terms of gluing things down is just behind my warehouse kits. There's some more risers just here. They've got to be glued down, but I intend to do that tomorrow. I've done enough now today. I've had it. And after last episode, everybody said that, or say everybody, people were saying, why don't you raid your kitchen cupboards and get some tins out? Well, that's okay, but my adult children still live at home, and nothing lasts in the cupboards more than a day by the looks of it. Every time I go and get something, it's gone. So I've gone to the garage and raided. I had an old box of bits and pieces and stuff left over from barbecues and goodness knows what. So in rather grand scale there, we've got a couple of bottles of fizzy stuff, but as we, with some polyfiller of course, and as we move round, you'll see that level that has all been screwed down. All I've got to do with that tomorrow is put the cork on it, but I have run out of bottles now, as you will see as I'll pan round, and as we come round, you'll see where the bridge is, the other bridge, and there we go, there's the other bridge. Everything right up to here is screwed down, and everything here beyond there is has now got cork on, the risers are gluing, and it is just covered with bottles of drink. So if anybody breaks in here tonight, they're going to have a right good party. But yeah, so that's been a real good day's work, and I'm hoping tomorrow that I get everything else sort of finished off in terms of gluing the cork down and gluing the rest of the Woodland Scenics risers down, and the part that I've got to do, but I'm going to do that separately. I'm going to build the junction in over there, just where, I don't know whether you can see the signal box there, which is, where's my finger? The signal box is just here, basically. So round about this point there's a junction that will lead off into Exehaven Harbour station, and that will be done separately. None of that is glued down yet or screwed down, but my intention with that is perhaps not to do that until the end, because I might be able to get that track down in there and actually lift them sections out, so any point motors or anything like that, I can actually do it easily rather than having to get under the layout. But that's obviously for a future date. But to be honest, the way we're going here, and I've got another full day out here tomorrow, hopefully, unless there's a problem, fingers crossed there isn't. We have got a few things going on with older members of the family at the moment, and we should be well on track, as we say, no pun intended. Well, maybe there was. And I'm going to leave it there for today, and I'll come back tomorrow all fresh, and very pleased with what I've got done. We're actually making progress. Just before I go, the other two bits that I've got to do are obviously building this bit and this bit, or just putting a track bed in, and then working out how I'm going to fix the rest of that in and how it's going to look. I'm sure I'll use a bit more of that dressed stone, which is just, as I showed you earlier, and I'm sure I'll work that in somehow. I've got to figure out how I'm going to do the edges of that above the dressed stone. I mean, I hadn't really thought that through, although I did give it some thought when I was making that, and I thought, well, I can always do a bit afterwards, make it look like a wall or something. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so that's where we're going to leave it, and I'll speak to you on the next segment. Okay, so we're back on the old workbench stroke dining room table, and I just wanted to show you what I've been doing with the Pico line-side tunnel mouth kits. And I've basically used the same painting technique that I used as I showed you on the dressed stone walling that I done, just for the sort of back arch bridge really, and the associated brickwork around that. But anyway, like I say, I've used the same technique here, and I think it's come out rather well actually. I'm quite pleased with this. I've done two tunnel mouths like it. They've got to be weathered yet, and that'll be my next job perhaps later today, because I'm just off out to the cabin. And so basically all I've done is painted all over first, like I've done here with the retaining wall sides, is that I've used matte, Humbrol matte 121, which is like a, like a cement colour really, and painted the whole lot. And you leave that for 24 hours, and then I've gone over it with two different greys. I've used a Humbrol matte 32 and a matte 27. Now all I've used for those, for everything that I've done so far, I've used these 2 dry brushes that I bought from Hobbycraft. They're specifically designed for dry brushing, and I've used these 2 actually on these tunnel portals because some of these gaps were quite small to get into. Same technique, just normal brushes, really kind of stiff brushes. And I've given the 2 colours. I'll just dip in and out of the paint pots and rub it off on my bit of kitchen towel, taking most of the paint off, and then just putting that on. So, and it does give you a lovely effect with the perhaps the render or the cement in between the bricks. I quite like that. I know there's lots of other techniques that you can use, but I think once I've weathered these up, they're going to look really quite nice. So obviously there'll be some lovely sooty plumes going up there where all the steam engines and diesels have been going through, leaving their mark. And I think, you know, I'm very happy with it. Like I say, I think it's going to look quite nice in the layout. So just thought I'd update you and just show you what I've been up to. So there we are. I've now dirtied these up, weathered them, and I've had a nice dose of black soot up the top there. I use WWS sort of powders to do this, and then the concrete dust is just an all over. And I'm quite pleased the way they've come out. They do look a bit messy, but to be honest, I think, you know, a well-used tunnel back then would have looked a bit dirty, and that's the look I've gone for. They look quite harsh close up, I've got to say that, but you know, when you look at them normally, they look absolutely fine. But I'm quite pleased with them. So, you know, it's easy to use weathering powders. You just don't overdo it. I might have overdone the black soot a little bit, but you know, to be fair, for a first effort with them, I'm pleased the way that the actual tunnel mouths have been come out with the paint and so on. So yeah, I think that's quite successful, and I think they'll look quite good on the layout. So that's that little exercise done. Just as we speak, I've just painted up the sort of walls, the retaining walls, and they're drying out now so that I can weather them up. Well, I won't be doing it tomorrow, but I'll weather them up over the next week or 2. So there we are. Okay, so we'll move on to the last segment now, and I'll catch up with you there. Well, this is about as far as I can get for now, and there is a reason for behind that. I've got everything kind of tidied up as much as I can, and it doesn't, it's odd really, now I'm looking back at everything, it doesn't look a lot, but I've done a lot. You know, I know it happens a lot with model railways. There's a lot, especially with the, let's say, the setting it up before you actually get to the point of really getting involved with laying track and scenicking and all the good stuff that you want to do. All the groundwork's got to be done. So what I'm going to just sort of pan around and show you now is what I've done over the past week or so. The racetrack bed is now completely secure, apart from the station area over there. I have secured this piece down, but that will be coming up again because that will form the main part of the track work junction, and I want that just to be able to lift in and lift out for now while I'm doing point motors and things like that. But I'll fix it down today just so that I've got everything set up and ready to go. The reason this is as far as I've got for a little while is that Mrs. Exehaven has now decreed that I've got to decorate the hallway, stairs and landing. I hate doing that job, but to be fair, I did do it about 7.5 years ago when I retired, and it does need doing. So we've got all the paint now. Today's Friday. I'll be starting it on Monday. Got a big golf day tomorrow, family day Sunday. So this is kind of it for about 2 or 3 weeks. I'm hoping, if I feel like it, because I don't always feel like it when I've been decorating all day, is to get out here for the odd evening or two and do a little bit more then. But anyway, moving on. So the raised track bed, I'm just going to point at it here. If you just follow this round with the camera, all of this has been secured. The cork has been glued, and today it's been painted grey. And as you can see, it's the same all the way around. I can see little bits that have actually still need a bit of gluing down, but I'm not going to do that now. So that bit there I can see that's pokey up here a bit, but I'm just going to try and work my way around without trying to job the tripod. But yeah, it's all been done. Even here as well, this line down here, this is all being done. I know the bridge is not in place, but there's a reason for that. I'm keeping all the bridges loose at the moment. They won't be secured. And there we go. I'm just extricating my way around the tripod. Yeah, obviously there's 2 raised beds at the back. One will come underneath the one that you can see now and out onto the bridge. And again, I've been working on these. There's still a little bit of cork to go in that section there, which I won't be doing today because I've had enough. Actually, that's not true. I've got to go and do something else. The other bridge here that I made, the scratch built bridge, the sort of, let's say, similar to Barmouth, that hasn't been secured into place yet either. There's a reason for that, and you can see some of the paint that I've got now. I've got some of that Woodland Scenics sort of watercolour paints, in terms of like the what water is colour, in terms of colour, and you know, most water is not deep dark blue, and this is an estuary, so there will be sort of greens and greeny blues and sandy colours, and there's a way I'm going to do that soon. I'm all set up, ready to go with that really. I've got to fill some holes in, but that's not going to happen just yet. There's always some other little jobs to do, isn't there, that you have to do before you can get on to do the others. And one that I thought, because I was going to seal this all today as well, but what I've realised is there's a load of holes in it, so they've got to be filled, and that will be filled the next time I come out here. And then the bridges will be put into place. There'll be some, I'm not going to call them running repairs, but there's going to be little bits and pieces that I need to do to the Barmouth style bridge, just to make it sit there exactly right, because it's close but it's not quite. So and there'll be a few titivating touches to that to make sure that all works right. And yeah, and then we're back to that piece there where we started. So hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen me do, and actually it's been a very productive week. I've really enjoyed being out here doing it. So you know, I keep sort of sitting down and thinking, well, I must be quite close to start laying some track, and in my head now I'm deciding where I'm going to start laying the track, and it may very well likely be here, just on here, because this forms the junction into Exehaven Harbour station, just because it's probably the more complicated part, and it will set that bit up, and I can spend some time. I've got some a few points and stuff coming, so that I can set that up and have a look and see how my picture in my head works. So the trouble is with this iteration of Exehaven, kind of my Exehaven Mark II, is that I want to try and keep it as simple as possible, and what I mean by that is not thousands and thousands of points. I mean, there are going to be plenty of points, but I just want it to, you know, be simple, and the trains just go over them without much problem. So that's where we are, that's where we're at. Hopefully I'll be back to you in sort of 2 or 3 weeks time with a bit of an update. It just depends how I get on with the decorating really, but the hallway, stairs and landing is a huge job. I think I've got 9 doors to paint, gloss paint, all the woodwork, all the stair, you know, I just hate doing it. I mean, the emulsion in itself doesn't take long, but our stairwell is really high up in that, and I hate doing that as well, balance on the top of the ladder. But the cost of having somebody round to do it, Mrs. Exehaven has said, you're still young enough and fit enough to get up there and do it. So there we go. You know what it's like. Okay, so take care of yourselves. Thanks very much for all the new subscribers. Hope you're enjoying what we're doing. And like I say, I'll see you in a few weeks. Cheers.